has come to our family. You remember our venerable house? Opulent and imperial, gazing proudly from its stoic perch above the moor. I lived all my years in that ancient, rumor-shadowed manor, fattened by decadence and luxury. And yet I began to tire of conventional extravagance. Singular, unsettling tales suggested the mansion itself was a gateway to some fabulous and unnameable power. With relic and ritual, I bent every effort towards the excavation and recovery of those long-buried secrets, exhausting what remained of our family fortune on swarthy workmen and sturdy shovels. At last, in the salt-soaked crags beneath the lowest foundations, we unearthed that damnable portal of antediluvian evil. Our every step unsettled the ancient earth, but we were in a realm of death and madness. In the end, I alone fled laughing and wailing through those blackened arcades of antiquity, until consciousness failed me. You remember our venerable house, opulent and imperial. It is a festering abomination. I beg you, return home, claim your birthright, and deliver our family from the ravenous, clutching shadows of the darkest dungeon.
What is up, guys, gals, and all you awesome minions and gamers of different shapes and sizes? It is me, Josh aka Noir Proxy, bringing you some Darkest Dungeon on the PlayStation 4. That is right, they've actually brought this game out on a console, which is just so cool. I've been so very excited to try this game out on the consoles, because I originally got it on PC. You may remember that I did actually do a stream of this on the PC, and it was very fun, it was very cool. And it's one of these games where it very much inspires me in that sense of, like Dark Souls in a sense, and even like Demon Souls and Bloodborne, and that's very badass because generally of those games I don't enjoy them that much. Like, I platinum Demon Souls, I played through Dark Souls, I've completed Bloodborne, and I'm trying to platinum it at the moment, which I keep saying whenever asks me about it. But this is Darkest Dungeon. Is pretty much a 2D roguelike side-scroller, kind of in the also inspirations of Mike Mignola's art style. It also has some Lovecraftian stuff, as you saw there in the intro. And basically what you do in this game is you go into dungeons with a party, a randomized party, and you can customize them with different color schemes, their name, their ability, stuff like that. And you go into these dungeons and you go fight monsters, which is very exciting in its sense. What is up, guys, gals, and all you awesome minions and gamers of different shapes and sizes? It's me, Josh aka Noir Proxy, bringing you some Darkest Dungeon on the PlayStation 4. That is right, this game that has been officially brought out by Red Hook, the developers behind this brilliant masterpiece, has now come to console, which is fantastic, and along with Vita. I've been playing this game on Vita all night, and I have loved every single moment of it. And obviously, as well, it was on PC, so it was that thing where if you do want to play it on a different platform, it is there. But it's come out on PlayStation 4, and I'm just so excited to jump into this for you because I really enjoyed what I played on the PC, but I'm one of these people who likes to sit in bed. I love to just relax, sit on the couch, play a game. I don't really like to always sit on my PC, you know, in my computer chair, and so it just finds it really uncomfortable. Does anyone else have that preference? Comment section below. I would love to know if you prefer to sit at your desk, do you prefer to sit on the couch, snuggle up in bed with a blankie? I would love to know all of your opinionage on your preference of gaming, but Darkest Dungeon, we're going to jump into this. Now, when it comes to Darkest Dungeon, the best way to explain it is it's a roguelike 2D side-scroller dungeon crawling that, which is pretty much the best way of explaining it. It has a lot of RPG aspects to it too, but this game is incredibly, frustratingly at times hard. I've been playing it all night, as I mentioned, on my Vita, and it's this thing where it's a very cool game which kind of like messes with your emotions in a sense, because sometimes you'll gain victory, sometimes you'll get defeat, and because it's a roguelike, you'll put so much love and dedication into specific characters, and then they'll just die, they'll end up dying. And I'm going to explain this while we're playing it. There's so many different things that kind of like feature in this game, and its game mechanics. It's not just a standard turn-based kind of like RPG. There's actually kind of like psychological aspects to it too, which messes with your own player characters, and it's just very cool. So what we're going to do is we're going to jump into this, create a new estate. I'm going to call this, I mean, it's called the Darkest Estate, but I've been calling mine on Vita Ergo, so I'm going to call this the Ergo Estate. For some reason, I just feel like it has like a really nice ring to it. I would love to know, though, if you're going to get this game, if you already have this game, what is your estate called? It must be something really badass, because a lot of you minions are always going to be really cool names for like weapon names, character names, superhero names, all those kind of things. And so I would love to know what you'd call your estate that you're going to retake from Cthulhu and all of his minions of doom. But here we go.
You will arrive along the old road. It winds with a troubling, serpent-like suggestion through the corrupted countryside, leading only, I fear, to ever more tenebrous places. There is a sickness in the ancient, pitted cobbles of the old road, and on its writhing path, you will face viciousness, violence, and perhaps other damnably transcendent terrors. So steel yourself, and remember there can be no bravery without madness. The old road will take you to hell, but in that gaping abyss, we will find our redemption.
That commentary is just really, really dark and really cool. It's just, they picked some really good voice actors in this game, and even just like the little characters, and again, just for the narrator, he just fits so well into this title, and it always makes you feel like really excited to keep playing. I think that's one thing that's very unusual, because you found it in games like Bastion. A lot of people love the narrator in Bastion, and even say like in Transistor as well, which wasn't really a narration but more like just casually like a character talking to your silent protagonist, but you always get these kind of like voice actors that kind of lead you, kind of like breadcrumb you, and I really, really love that. So as you can see here, our little protagonist has now crashed in his little carriage, the stagecoach is destroyed, the caretaker gone, you have now must take your journey to the Hamlet on foot, but you do not play as a hero or anything like that. You are pretty much trying to take over this estate, and you are hiring heroes, warriors, barbarians, thieves, murderers to actually try and win back the estate by going into these dungeons and killing shit. That's the best way of explaining it. So if you jump into this, look, you will see that we're playing a 2D RPG side-scrolling adventure game, and there's just so much shizzle on screen. So we're just going to get rid of this first, and I'll explain it on myself. Right, so first things first, thing on the top is actually a lantern. So the game is all about darkness. I'm going to pause this for a second. The game is all about darkness, and the main thing about the darkness is that it kind of controls the bravery of your party. So one thing that you'll find is that all of the characters have like a psychological system attached to them, where if that light goes down, they start to get scared, they start to get paranoid, and the more scared they get, the more kind of effects can work against them. They can be added onto their personality, and they can like gain traits and quirks and things that can work against them or actually help them, and we'll probably see that when we continue onwards. There's also a thing as well where you may notice the art style. Now, I'm a massive fan of Mike Mignola's Hellboy, and this game has actually been heavily inspired by Mike Mignola, the artist. If you've not seen Hellboy, the comic books or the movie, really cool, really badass, love the art style. One of my major inspirations, as you know, I love Joe Mad's art style, but Mike Mignola, I lived on his comic books. Really, really cool. But first things first, we must move onwards onto our adventure. We're gonna try and kill some dudes, right? Cautiously moving onwards.
Have run up these lanes. Keep to the side path. The Hamlet is just ahead.
That narrator, just really nice. It's that thing again, like, it makes me want to continue. It's like, continue onwards, dear warrior, he was basically saying. It's like that kind of, okay, I will. I'll listen to the comfort of your voice to use me to pillow me onwards. But you basically just move left and right. On the bottom right, you can see the map of your party, and they have to kind of like move towards the different areas. Things can happen along the way, like you can bump into enemies, you can find loot, traps, stuff like that.
Brutal fashion, that all may hear of your arrival.
So we're gonna fight this dude. Now, obviously this is the tutorial, and the game likes to go very easy on you on the tutorial, and then it throws you right into a boiling pit of hot lavery doom and bloody injustice, I'd pretty much call it. So what we need to do is we need to hit the guy. So you have all these different abilities for your characters. We're using Dismas, the highwayman at the moment, and we're going to just, I think we're just going to stab him. Now if I do stab him with this dude's blade, it can actually put a bleed effect. So another thing is that all of the abilities have special qualities to them as well. So if I use, say, the gun, it'll actually kind of like reduce their damage that will be put onto my party. Or if I use the knife, it'll put a bleed effect on, which means that they'll bleed for a certain amount of rounds. So we're just going to stab him. There we go, nice little slit into the nipplet. And he's got a bleed effect, which means that in his turn he's going to bleed. But we can also use my warrior crusader called Reynold. You can actually change the names of all these characters too, and the color scheme. But we're just going to smack him. There we go, nice little bonk over the head. I hope that's like a bladed sword and not like a blunt sword. So when you defeat enemies, you also gain loot, which is a really cool thing because the whole point of this game is to go into dungeons, clean out the dungeons of monsters, but then gain loads of awesome loot, say like money to improve your heroes, or even like trinkets and valuables that might actually increase your base, your Hamlet as they call it in this game, or say buy like special weapons and stuff, loads of cool things. So we're just going to keep moving. Might come across a loot chest. Here we go. Oh, I found a tent. Now, you can actually interact with these, and these can actually have good or bad benefits too. And so it's this thing of like, there's like a little bit of like a 50-50 coin to it. It's like the two-face of video games, where you might want to investigate it, which might give you some kind of nice thing, but it also at the same time, it might screw you over. You might actually get a finger in the butthole or something, and we don't want that. We want to cut off the finger that's going to go towards your butthole. We got some valuables, we got some gold coins, that's a good thing, so no finger in the butthole today. And as you may notice on the bottom right, we've now made it to the next room, so we're going to enter this and see where we find ourselves next. And we found ourselves a chest. Awesome.
The rightful owner has returned.
Now the game's going to try and hurt us a little bit here, I believe, so we've actually been put into a surprise, which is basically they have ambushed us, but we're going to try and take advantage of the situation. So you've got these two guys here, you've got a ranged guy, you've got this heavy, brunty tank dude. The guy in the back obviously has a gun, which means he's going to be ranged, but because they surprised us, it ruined the formation of our heroes. Remember, the highwayman was in the back, and the reason for that is based on his formation, it allows him to do certain attacks. So if I say highlight Grape Shot, you may notice underneath the icon for Grape Shot, where it says the name, well, pretty much above the name of Grape Shot, there are these little dots. So the red dots basically mean that that's where the kind of formations of the enemies, so you can basically have 4 enemies on screen at once, okay? And so there are 3 red dots for, you know, the front, the middle, and then someone kind of like in the back in the middle. And that means that the Grape Shot ability can be used to those enemies. But you have to be, look, as you can see by the yellow dots, stood in the middle of the party. At the moment, the highwayman is stood in the front, which means he can't use that ability. So what we actually need to do is just cut this guy in the front, because he can use his blade, it's close combat, it means he can be in the front, and stab somebody. Awesome. It'll add that bleed effect as well, which is going to add a little nice little debuff for us too, which is fantastic. Sadly, that did just shoot me, and that's kind of mean. But you may notice as well that the Crusader has loads of cool abilities, and he can use all of these while in the back. Now, the Crusader is a tank, he has way more health than the Highwayman, but I think he's gonna be able to handle himself. This is the tutorial as mentioned. So we're just going to get, oh, we missed. We kind of screwed up. And it's one of those things too where when you miss, when they like dodge out of your attack, you feel it. You kind of go, oh, because obviously from that happening, it's actually ended up hurting our Highwayman, which sucks. But on the health bar beneath the Highwayman, you may notice a kind of like 2 little white squares. Now this is his bravery meter, his psychology in a sense, and what happens is if that increases, it works against him in that it can actually make him get cowardly. It means that he can actually kind of like attain a negative effect on his psychology, where it might mean that he'll run from battle, it might mean that he won't attack, it might mean that he'll hurt the party or something, and these are the things you don't want to do. So you want to try and like take care of the enemies in a very tactical sense, but we're going to try and just rush through these guys as fast as possible. Obviously the bleed effect's already been on that guy, and we're just going to, again, we're just going to try and kill people. But I'd love to know in the comment section below, what do you think to the depth of this game? I think it's very, very cool. Now, my Highwayman is actually about to Oh, he's getting completely pwned. So this is the thing, you want to try and get your highwayman in the back because he's not supposed to be at the front. He's not the, what do you say, the DPS of the team. He's kind of like your sniper in a sense, which is kind of cool. I kind of like that. My highwayman is nearly dead. He is definitely nearly dead. Yeah, we should probably do something about this. We're just going to get rid of this guy. No, he's dead. He's dead. He's gone. He's gone. He's all done. Now, the annoying thing now is there's actually a corpse in the way. So generally what you have to do is to get to the guy in the back with melee attacks, you have to kill the corpse. There's just so much to this game. Don't you think there's just so much to this game? I think there's just so much to this game. What we're going to do is we're going to swap places so the Crusader can be in the front. There we go. And that means that the guy in the back can now use his range attacks. Because obviously he does have a pistol, so we might as well use that pistol. So let's go and use our pistol shot on the guy in the back. And we missed. That did not feel good. Thankfully we did dodge those bullets, so that was really lucky. What we're going to do is we're going to use a special ability. We're going to use a ranged attack. And we're going to do it on this guy here. That should hopefully get rid of the corpse. There we go, we got rid of the corpse now. So now we can melee do this guy in the face. Oh no! My highwayman has now actually lost all of his health. Now that means that when he survives this fight, he's actually going to get a negative effect on his character. And that basically means that it's going to stay with him unless we pay loads and loads of money to get rid of them next time. So we need to try and get rid of this guy as fast as possible. So let's cut him in the nipplet. Remember, the nipplet is the really weak point. That means that you're going to get that really good kind of like beneath the skin wound. Oh, we just lost our highwayman. He's dead. The game is very unfair, and this is the thing, I mentioned this. The game is unrelentless. We're just going to stab this guy, get him out of the way. There we go. Highwayman has been lost, though. But the game works against you in very random ways. The experience is never the same every single time. The tutorial is always the same, but what happens against your team is always completely randomized. I don't know if people like that or if people love that. I mean, do you like that fact that you can have things work against you immensely? Like, another game that did this was Don't Starve, and this has actually been co-produced on the PlayStation 4 by Clay, the Don't Starve team, which kind of gives that vibe about it, because Don't Starve obviously was a very mean game as well. I'm not going to leave just yet, we're going to open that chest. There's something that's really sneaky. The first time you play this, you'll probably end up thinking, oh, well, I completed the quest, so I'll go to the Hamlet. But don't forget that there is actually a chest there. Let's open it and see what we get. Again, the game just screwed me over, look, again. And we actually nearly got poisoned there, which was very, very sad. So what we're going to do is we're going to get the fudge out of here and go to the Hamlet. Just by pressing the touchpad. There we go. And by doing that, you gain victory, lots of money, loads of cool stuff like that. And we can use that to increase our base, increase the potential of our heroes. Sadly, Dismas did die. That is the first time that Dismas has ever died for me. Welcome home. Which is kind of... It's a good example, though. This is the thing. It's a fantastic example for this game. Because you want to see that kind of stuff happen. You want to see it kind of... affect, you know, your party to see what the full extent of the kind of the game mechanics are. So this is the Hamlet. And the cool thing is that you can actually improve this over time. You can actually upgrade the Hamlet. You can actually improve on its kind of aesthetic, on the things that it can do to help your team. But at the moment, what we want to try and do is get more heroes. We cannot go into one of the dungeons with just one hero. It's going to be impossible. As you saw there, we nearly got ganged up on and killed. They probably would have mugged our bodies. They might have actually done some funny things with it. I'm not too sure. But we've got some brand new heroes here, look. And there are so many different classes too. This is the one thing as well, is initially there was only pretty much like 4 or 5 classes. And they've added up to maybe, potentially, possibly, maybe about 8, 9, maybe 10. That might be stretching it, but we've got loads of characters, and you need a party of 4 to actually go into the dungeons. So it's like, in a sense, the game is actually showing us what happens through loss. I think it might do that the first time you play this game, every single time, because I feel like maybe I did lose the highwayman the other time. I'm not too sure. But we have got some brand new characters, completely different classes. You may notice that we do actually have a Plague Doctor, and I just love the design of Plague Doctors. It kind of gives that vibe. I mean, I know that Reaper from Overwatch isn't a Plague Doctor, but it's that thing about, like, the skull mask that's kind of like an animal, because obviously, like, Reaper in Overwatch has, like, the owl mask, but it's like a crow for Plague Doctors, because obviously crows kind of like feed on the deceased dead and stuff like that. You've got all these different buildings as mentioned, so this is the Hamlet, so we will get into the heroes in a second. I like as well that they all have their own personality, so they all actually say like a little quote. You know, sometimes they'll actually discuss things with each other, they'll actually have personalities that can actually work together or not, and I'll show you that in a second, but this is the Hamlet. So the first thing that we went to was the stagecoach. That basically allows us to recruit more heroes. They are free, so you can actually kind of like increase your party roster and just like focus on leveling them up and stuff like that. they're ready to fight, as you can tell. But there are also other things that you can do. You can actually go to a tavern. We can't actually go into these buildings just yet, so we will check these out in a Momo when we go on to our first actual quest, but I will explain them to you now. So the tavern allows you to basically reduce stress on the heroes. As you may have remembered, what I mentioned to you was you have a health bar, and you also have kind of like a cowardice, like, stress bar. And the stress bar is a major factor, actually even more important than your health, because it can actually just turn the tide of battles. It can actually just screw your entire team over. And the tavern actually allows you to put your character in for like one turn quests. So that means that they'll skip out on a quest, but while at the tavern they'll be able to reduce their stress meter, which means they can then get into other future quests without having that potential to just lose their shizzle in a sense. You can also take them to, say, the Abbey, or you can take them to the Sanitarium. It depends on their personality, because you'll find that some characters prefer things like the brothel in the tavern, or say alcohol, or say gambling. This is all based on their personality. Or say, like, even like Reynold, who is the Crusader, is very religious, and you'll find that he's always a starter character and he's always religious, and so he'll always want to go to the Abbey, and that means that he'll only pray, and that is the only way that he can get stress removed from him. So it's got these cool things, again, that all the characters have personalities to them, they have quirks, they have needs, specific needs that you have to cater for them, and I like that. I think that's really, really badass. You obviously have as well, like, the blacksmith. You have the guild, which allows you to increase your abilities for your characters. The blacksmith improves your, you know, your weapons, your armor, and things like that. And then finally you have the nomad wagon. That allows you to get your kind of like special trinkets and stuff that increases like the stats of your characters. They can actually like add on kind of like little accessories to them and things like that. And also don't forget as well, you actually have the survivalist. The survivalist is kind of cool, which kind of like increases another type of ability, which is called the campfire abilities, and I'll try and get into the campfire abilities later on if you actually try that. I could explain them to you now. Basically, the campfire is like using a tent. You know how like in Final Fantasy, when you're on the world map, you use the tent, and the tent allows you to heal your team and stuff. The tent allows you to, mid-quest, basically make a campfire, and that allows you to use some special campfire abilities, which are very specific to each character, like reducing some stress, only little bits of stress, or healing, or other little things like increasing potential stat buffs later on and things while doing the quest. And that's what the survivalist does. It allows you to kind of like upgrade those and unlock those. But we're gonna go into our first quest. I've been talking a lot about this game. There is so much to take in. But comment section below, let me know. I would love to know, what is your opinion? What do you think to the depth of this game? And what do you think to the commentary as well? I love this guy. He's so cool. I should probably let him talk a little bit more. Maybe what I'll do is I'll stay a little bit more silent during the quest itself. And that means that you can actually take in the atmosphere, the spookiness, even the victory, if we actually gain victory while playing this. Because there's just so much to it. There's just so much to this game. It's really well designed, really good sound design as well, because I'm using headphones at the moment, and if you can hear like the environment, like the little birds, and like even like the caverns and stuff, there's just so much kind of like, I don't know, suspense to it. I really like that. So this is your main hub for the map when it comes to quests and stuff. You can pick either to go into the Darkest Dungeon, which is the final quest, which is a level 6. We do not want to go in there just yet. We're going to go into the, what's this called? This is called the Scout area in the ruins, the Warrens? Somewhere between the Warrens and the ruins. We're going to go in here. It's actually a very short kind of area, as you can see here, very small map. And so we should be able to handle ourselves. It shows you what kind of loot you can get from this. And what we're going to do now is we're going to pick our pie. So if I go over here and select everything. The one thing to note is that the interface is a little bit confusing when using a controller. I found this while playing on the Vita, is that this game was originally made for the PC, and so it feels very clicky. So what you're having to do is like R2 is to select your heroes, L2 is to kind of go into the left side interface, and then you have to use like the D-pad buttons to go into your inventory and stuff, and I believe it's kind of like L1 is to mess around with your map, and there's just so many buttons that the game tries to cater onto the controller, and it can get a little bit confusing. But we're going to put all of our characters into their specific roles. Now we do have 2 fighters, so obviously want them in the front. We want the Plague Doctor to be in the middle too, because he's just specific like that. For some reason, abilities for the Plague Doctor kind of work better if he's in the middle. And then finally we have kind of like a warrior priest. I guess you'd call her that. And there we go. Now we need to get our provisions. So obviously going on a quest, that means that you need some items to help you. And this is the thing. It's kind of like going on this massive kind of like archaeological dig in a sense, because you are going in there to find loot and mysterious runes and other little mysteries and stuff that you never know you might find. And so what we need to do now is get some food. So we're gonna take some lunch with us. Now remember, we do have 4 people, so that means that we need at least 4 bits of food. I'm gonna take 8 because you never know, they might get hungry. Actually, because this is the first kind of like map, I don't think we'll need. Oh wait, let's go back into the provisions. As I said, it's a little bit hard to kind of like maneuver everything. We're gonna take only 4 bits of food because I don't think we'll need any more of that. And then we're gonna take some shovels because you never know, there might be some obstacle in the way, which is kind of like a reminder of a game like This War Is Mine, where you had like obstacles in the way, and it was really beneficial if you had, say, like a pickaxe or a shovel, and that allowed you to get rid of the rubble and stuff like that. It still works the exact same way in this game, but it actually hurts your team if you don't have a shovel on hand. Next thing is torches. You need those lanterns, so then you can obviously keep the lantern on your top of your screen burning. It means that they won't get scared and things. You need to take a lot of these because you'll find that the lantern actually runs out very, very quickly. And then, do you think we need to take anything else? I think that'll be kind of good. I think that's going to be good for a start dungeon. I think we'll be fine. Obviously, as well, we want a little bit of a challenge, so we're going to jump into this and see what happens. We are now entering the ruins. One thing to note is that you get completely randomized heroes from the Highwayman cart every single time you play this game. So you'll never get the same people, you know, twice or 3 times or 4 times. You'll always get someone completely different. Like the first time I played this, I had the Crusader and the Highwayman, who you always start with. But then I think I had like a Hound Master who basically has a pet dog who can send that into fights and stuff like that, which is really cool. And then I had kind of like a barbarian like bounty hunter. But now look, we've actually got some brand new characters. Oh my goodness, look at her in the second to the front. She looks so cool. What is her name? I'd love to know her name. Can we find out what her name is? Her name is Pikiri the Hellion. It's kind of like a female barbarian or something. Really cool. But anyway, I'm going to go into the first dungeon. Here we go. Oh boy. Oh, I'm going to let you enjoy the music. So again, because we're in like this dark, dank place, you may have noticed there that actually affected our Plague Doctor. He doesn't like this area, and it's actually messed with him psychologically. So there's this thing where there's just so much working against your team. But, here we go. Well, they're all pretty scared. We've just found ourselves a lantern. We can use this. We're not going to use it just yet, though. We're going to keep it with us. But anyway, enjoy the, you know, the ambiance, enjoy the atmosphere, the gameplay. You will see from what I've kind of explained and stuff what's been happening. We're going to use our characters and all their abilities and stuff in the fights that are going to come. You may notice on the bottom right quickly too that the map is all messed up and stuff, so you have like different squares that you can go into, you can go to different paths. And our goal at the moment, the only way we can leave this dungeon successfully is by exploring 90% of the rooms. So you need to find all but one of the rooms and see what they all have to offer before our team to kind of benefit from it. If we leave before then, they will all be psychologically affected, and we'll all lose like loads of health and money and things like that too. But anyway, I'm gonna go into the first room. Here we go.
Be gone, fiend. Another abomination cleansed from our lands. A handsome reward for a task well performed. Even the cold stone seems bent on preventing passage. Precision and power. Press this advantage. Give them no quarter. Continue the onslaught. Destroy them all. As the fiend falls, a faint hope blossoms.
So as you saw there, we had a nice little bit of a batch of fights, and all the enemies have different kind of special abilities that can work against you. Depending on the formations that they're in as well, it can actually like work with them or against them too. And so you have to play tactically. There is these things like, as you saw, one of the characters was able to like summon a tentacle out of a portal and then pull my combat priest like a little bit further, which means that it's going to work against her because she's very, very weak. She's not really about kind of like getting into the brunt of things. She's supposed to be staying in the back. And so you kind of have to use the abilities of your team to try and like work against that too. So you're constantly trying to play tactically. Sometimes you won't be able to just go on the offensive. Sometimes you have to reshuffle your characters by using their abilities. Like the Hellion, as you saw, was able to use a charge ability, which did loads of damage to the enemies, but it allowed her to move 2 places forwards. So there's these really cool kind of like qualities that allow you to kind of like parry, in a sense, and counterattack through the abilities that you use. You can kind of like adapt yourselves to the situation at hand. Now, we have one here, and we actually got a really cool little charm, it seems. So we got a, what's this called? A debuff charm, which allows us to get 20% against debuffs, which is really good. So we should probably equip her with that, because she does actually have a debuff on her at the moment. She's also wearing a helmet, which I believe, can we actually see what that helmet does? This helmet, if we just move down here, allows her to get 5+ accuracy on melee skills. So that means that she can kind of like work against enemies who, say, have really high dodge advantage. So if they can like dodge your attacks and things, she's actually able to work against them, actually use that accuracy on them as well. Quite cool, kind of awesome. She doesn't actually have a very good dodge ability. I wonder if that's because of that debuff that's on her. I'm not too sure. Now, another thing is obviously the quirks. Now, these are the things that I was explaining about, where if your stress meter goes up too high, it can actually add on quirks against you. But we actually have a good one, which is that she has a 10% ability to scout the area, which means that we can actually see what's going to be coming in case there's going to be like an ambush or something. So there's a chance that she might actually be able to scout the area. So it's going to be one of those things where it might happen at some random time, we're not too sure. She also has some bad quirks. Now, these are the ones that you gain from stress. So these are the these are the ones you don't want. But if you get successful missions, they gain good quirks. But the bad ones that she has is nocturnal, which basically means if that torch is above 75%, she loses speed, which is bad. So really, she wants to be in like a dark room. So you can actually get kind of characters that actually work better in the dark, and some characters that actually work worse in the dark. Generally, you'll find that the standard is that they don't like to be in the dark. It kind of makes you wonder what happens, like, if it goes down. Does that mean that her stress is going to go up faster, or because she's nocturnal, does that mean that she won't be affected? Not too sure. But she also has something called love interest, which means that she can't actually get any kind of like stress relief unless going to the brothel. So that means that she loves to get pummeled during sex, which is good for her, really. So the thing with that is, now you may think, oh, that's good. That means that she doesn't have to kind of like share all the other slots of all the heroes. The thing is that certain other NPCs can actually use the brothel too. So that means that if they're in the brothel, it means that she can't go in the brothel. So she has to kind of like wait it out, or kind of like keep that stress meter up there for like another quest. So things to remember with that and stuff is that you might want to get rid of that love interest brothel, you know, quirk. It might not actually help you, or it might do. Actually, it kind of has like a good thing and a bad thing in a sense, because it means that she doesn't have to share the other slots, but someone might actually use that is not part of the party against us. So things to remember. But let's keep moving. I'm going to complete this dungeon. We're going to whoop it. It seems that the game has been really nice to me now. It's allowed me to have a successful dungeon quest. We're like whooping some serious ass, and I like that. I appreciate that. Nothing in this room. Now, do we want to go up, or do we want to go right? This is going to be one of the really cool things about live streaming this, because it means that you get to choose where I go. So I'm going to, I mean, we could kind of like go round in like a circle or something. You can backtrack if you want to. The characters do actually gain stress if you walk backwards, so you want to make sure that you're never walking backwards. You want to always be moving forwards, even if you are backtracking. Make sure you press right or up on like the right analog stick, which allows you to go to the different pathway rooms. We're going to go up. Okay, here we go. Do you want me to let you enjoy the ambiance again? We found a little backpack here. Got some loot in it. Remember, you can actually have bad things. Ooh, a mystery key. These mystery keys actually allow you to open secret rooms. I don't think you get one of these in the starter dungeons, but later on you do. Oh, look, we're losing our lantern, so we should probably activate a torch. There we go, but remember now my Hellion will lose speed because we have a max lantern. Okay, I'm going to let you enjoy it again. Here we go. Actually, one thing I'm going to quickly say is that the character enemy in the back of the room actually has a really annoying ability which increases the stress of your party. So I say, as a tip, get rid of that bitch as fast as possible because she will ruin your team. Because you'll see, when she uses some kind of like incantation to actually increase the stress of your team, which you will see in this fight, it will go really high up. I think it's like a little too OP in a sense, but you'll see. Maybe it might actually work in our favor and she won't use it as much, but we'll find out. Try and get rid of her as fast as possible. That's basically what I'm saying. So she tried to use it there, but she missed. So that was really lucky because that would have screwed everything. We're doing really well. Oh my goodness, this is nice. Should we go for another charge again? I feel like this Hellion could actually be in the front. Does anybody else feel like she could be in the front? She also has some really other cool abilities. I'm not too sure, but would that charge actually work in our favor, do you think? Let's see what happens when she goes into front. She's got 26 health, while I think the Crusader has more, so actually maybe it wouldn't be a good idea. I'm going to make one of these guys bleed. I'm going to make the skeleton bleed. Or should we do that? Or should we just stab him? Maybe we could just stab him. Ooh, 2 more health points and then he will be out of there. Maybe we could use like a range attack or something. Anyway, I'm going to shut up. This is the thing. I love talking to you. I love getting to know you. I love to bond. We should do it over coffee sometime. But we're going to do a ranged attack.
Their formation is broken. Maintain the offensive. Is the weapon that cuts on its own. Confidence surges as the enemy crumbles.
Wow, we got 2 special room keys.
So too will resistance.
And obviously as well, I mentioned before, the Hellion actually has the ability to have a scout chance. So what she's done there is activate it for us. And you can see, look, she's actually seen that there's actually some treasure down some of the pathways. There's also some traps, along with what could be in the other runes. So in the bottom right room, which is that little blue square on the map, there is actually a chalice that might actually help us. Oh, this chest actually has a trap in it. And he has now been poisoned. Thankfully, we do actually have a healing potion, so we can use that on him. There we go. He's going to bleed out a little bit, though, so we want to be a little bit careful with him. But anyway, I'm going to move on. I love those sound effects. They're so cool and so creepy. There's a trap there, look, so you want to be very, very careful. The game does warn you about this one first. Now, if we had a highwayman, sadly he died, he would be able to actually disarm this trap a lot better. But the other team do actually have a chance of doing it too, so let's see if we can actually disarm this. Thankfully, we did. And he was able to get a little bit of courage, get rid of his psychological stress, and we're able to move onwards. Now, obviously, the Lancer's gone down a little bit, so it's messed with their stress meter a bit more, which is not good. What's going to be in here? Nothing. So should we go down, do you think, or should we go right? We need to explore 90% of the room, so either we can go down, see what's in that one, and then make our way back up, or we can just go all the way to the right and complete those 2. I'm thinking we do the entire dungeon. Do you think we should do the entire dungeon? I think we'll do the entire dungeon. There's another trap down here, so keep an eye out for it. Yeah, there it is. Look. Oh, and it actually works against it. Ooh, 8 damage!
With a singular
Oh, we need to probably actually activate our lanterns again, look. There we go. Make sure to keep that all lit, because it will mess with the stress. Mess with the stress! Boom shakalaka, baby! High five! Right! Oh, we surprise attack them too! They did not see us coming. Tickle you from behind! Surprise bear hugs. Should we go for another one of those charge abilities? That seems like really useful. Actually, wait, if I do that, it actually Oh! So she gains her debuff, look, because it does on herself, look, with the explanation of Breakthrough 1. It puts a minus 20% on damage on her next move and also minus 15% on her dodge. That's actually very interesting. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to use... Oh, what should we do? I could put like a bleed effect on one of them, or maybe I should just stab one. We'll try and get that range guy out of the way, but at the same time, these guys here, look, only have 10 health on the bottom right. You can see next to the Bone Soldier name. They have 10 HP, and the other guy has 15, so we should probably just get rid of these guys first, right? I'm gonna try and get rid of these guys. They did a nice little bit of damage. And now the Plague Doctor likes to do range attacks. He actually has poison grenades, so what he does, look, is he can throw a poison grenade at either these two at the front, or this one here, which will actually do the two people in the back. So we're just going to throw one at the guy in the back. There we go. It only does 1 damage, but it adds the Blight poison ability, which means that he will get poison effect over time. Get rid of that. Bone Soldier. There we go. And now we do have actually, we could actually heal. Probably heal the Crusader, couldn't we? Heal the Crusader. There we go, cool. Sometimes that actually does like an anti-stress effect too, so if they get more health back or if the team work together, it can kind of like increase like stress healing through camaraderie, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I'm thinking that we... Now nobody's bleeding. We can actually heal with the Plague Doctor too, but there's not really any point. So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to put our... I'm going to put her in the back. Oh, wait a minute. That means that now my Plague Doctor can stab people, because I think that would be kind of, like, useful. If he can use his knife as well, instead of just doing, like, one-hit kind of, like, grenades. That's kind of, like, lame, right? Especially if they already have Blight on them. Why would you want to use Blight again? Ooh, shot her right in the writing hand. I'm doing a lot of rhyming at the moment.
Executed
there we
with
go.
impunity.
Execution. Now, she does actually have the range ability, which means she can shoot the guy in the back. Oh, that's a critical! Using the power of Zeus! Oh, and she was able to get rid of a strength as well. That's awesome.
But a victory,
Ooh, we got a new loot piece. Bleedstone. Okay. -1 speed, but it gives a plus 20% bleed skill chance. Ooh, actually, okay. Maybe we could actually... I don't think I should give that to her, though. Wait, if I go into my abilities... And we go to... Who'd be good with that? I think maybe... I'm thinking the Crusader because he doesn't have that much speed anyway. There we go, look. And that's going to actually put a bleed chance on his standard melee. So that's actually really good. Now, obviously, we've actually found this altar. Now, the altar could help us or it could work against us. But also, you want to be using these kind of environmental items to your benefit through the characters. So obviously, the Crusader maybe, or the Vestal, which is this kind of like combat priest. I actually have a better chance of it. Should we use the Crusader? Let's try the Crusader. Here we go. Holy Fountain actually helped him, revigorated him, gave him some of his health back, fantastic, and got rid of some of his stress. So that's what we actually wanted. Now, there is actually a chest down the pathway if we go to the left, so maybe we should do that. I kind of like the idea of getting loot, so let's just get the loot. Oh. Seems that the Plague Doctor doesn't like it when the lantern goes down halfway. Oh. And he's also... Okay, so one of his... This is something to explain as well. So one of the things that he likes to do is he likes to touch things. He's very fidgety. So if we go to this guy's quirks, you may have noticed that he opened the bag for me. Now, sometimes you might not actually want to open the bags. There could be like a... It might not be a chest. It might not be a fountain. It might not be a rucksack. It actually could be, say, like a totem, which looks really evil and mysterious, and you don't want to touch that. But by bringing the Plague Doctor with you, it means that he might... like open things. As you can see here, he has hylomania, which means that he's obsessed with opening things, material things. So it can be a good thing or a bad thing. It mean that he might actually help you open things for you and just save you the time of doing it, or it might actually work against you and he'll just touch everything and it means that a trap might activate and screw everybody over, which we don't want. Okay, so we're gonna keep moving. Now obviously we're going back into one of our previous rooms, which isn't a good thing. Because it means we're going to have to go all the way around. Now we have to activate some more of our lanterns. There we go, cool. But because of that, remember, if you go back on yourself while in a corridor, it means that you're going to basically end up accruing stress, because they don't like to walk backwards. They don't like retreat. They like to keep moving forwards. There is one speed, mine, and it's to ever move forwards. We're actually nearly back to the original room that we wanted to be in, which is good. But they are gaining some stress, which is something we don't want to see. Ooh, there's actually a chest after the next room, so which is going to be cool. We're actually nearing the end of our Darkest Dungeon quest, which is fantastic. Because I'd kind of like to see what kind of loots we might find. Because you do actually get like some surprise stuff at the end. Ooh, brand new piece of loot there. Got loads of food too, so if they actually do get hungry, this is one thing that can happen. The team can get hungry. And if you don't actually have food to feed them while they're on a little mini quest, I don't know why they demand food on like a day's quest. You'd think they'd feed before they go. But if they don't, they do lose a massive amount of health, which is why you do want to bring lots of rations with you. This is actually one of those debuff things. So it might be good to actually give this to... I mean, these two here don't actually have anything yet. I think we should give it to the Crusader, though, because remember, we're actually doing a lot of melee fighting at the moment. That actually goes against his dodge, but I don't think he really needs to dodge anyway, because he's a tank. Yeah, why would he need to dodge? Because he's going to be taking all that damage anyway. Oh, yeah, here you go, look. So now the party's hungry. The exertions of adventuring have produced a growing hunger amongst the party. So thankfully we have lots of food, so that means we can heal everybody. So it gives them a little bit of food, but also kind of... It's like a demand that can work against you, like a trap. But you can actually have things to work against that trap in your inventory, such as food. So that's really good that we have that. But remember, you need at least 4 for it to actually heal everybody, or it'll screw one of the team over. And it will also put an immense amount of stress on them too, because hunger does that. Now, we have completed the quest, so we can actually go if we want to, or we can keep going forwards. So it's that thing where you can actually have like a bit of a 50-50 chance of if you want to risk it, or if you want to get out of dodge. So we're gonna risk it. We've got one more room to go to. Now, there might not actually be anything in there. Or there might be something. Might be something really evil. Something really cool. We might actually find some friends. We might actually party. There might actually be a disco going on in this final room. I'm going to activate the rest of our lanterns. You might as well use all the stuff in your inventory, because when you buy it, you have to use it in a sense. Like, you don't keep it. You have to, like, rebuy things, which is kind of annoying. Right, here we go. Hold up. Going into this room. What's going to be in it? Oh, a chest. But we got some high-level enemies. Obviously, this is the risk that you're going to go through. And now, through this happening, this is going to completely ruin our team look. So it's this thing where it's like, oh, you wanted to keep risking it? Well, this is what's going to happen. So they're going to completely pound us now. So my Hellion has now gained nearly half stress, which is not good. But what we're going to do is we're going to use our Plague Doctor, and we're actually going to throw in these little poison grenades onto the back 2 dudes, which will obviously poison them. There we go. So that'll be good damage over time. Sadly, we don't actually have any kind of, like, ranged fighters, so we can't actually, like, focus on those guys in the back. So the Blight will be actually really useful for us through the Plague Doctor. Okay, and the next thing that we probably want to do is... Oh, what kind of ability would you use? Let me know. Would you use Wicked Hack, which will obviously a standard attack, a Bleed Effect, or we could do Charge, which will obviously do damage to everybody on the enemy team, but it will obviously do minus 20% damage on her, you know, for her later on, or we can actually... Oh wait, you can actually do 20% damage. So you can actually get rid of that effect through Adrenaline Rush later on, and actually cures you too. I'm going to focus on this guy because he has 15 health, or maybe we should do the 10 health guy. Maybe the 10 health guy. Because if we can get rid of at least one dude, then that means that, you know, it kind of like works in our favor, because what means the team won't gain damage later on. We're going to use this range attack, which will allow her to gain some health back, but also do at least around 3 damage to this guy here. So again, working tactically, working with the benefits, but also the things that can go against you. So obviously we weren't able to do a massive amount of damage output with our Warrior Priest, but she was able to get a little bit of health back, but also do the required amount of damage to that enemy, where it kind of benefited us by taking a damage input kind of enemy out of the equation. Now we are going to use our Crusader here, so we will go against the Bone Defender. 8 damage, that was nice. Just kind of like whopping him over the head. I don't think that's a bladed weapon, I think it's blunt. Oh dear, they really don't like my Hellion. Okay, so what we're going to do is going to use my Vestal to heal my Hellion. There we go. And seems that she didn't actually get a stress trigger from that either, so that's kind of sad. Oh my goodness, they are really picking on our team. What we're going to do now is we're going to go for an Incision. This might actually put a bleed effect on the Bone Defender. Will it put a bleed on the bone? No, he's resistant to it. Oh, okay, I see how it is. Let's just kill him anyway. Make sure he can't do damage. Because remember, he's the one that's going to be doing so much damage for everybody. Next thing you want to probably do is a ranged attack. Get rid of these corpses. Because remember, our team can't do any damage melee-wise with these corpses in the way. That didn't get rid of them. But thankfully, the Blight is there, which will kill them slowly. Oh, that's going to put 20 stress on the team. So one more round, I would say, and they're all going to die. So let's... Oh yeah, the enemy in the back actually lost the Blight, so we should probably just throw a grenade at him, right? Oh no, he doesn't want to throw a grenade at him. Okay, here we go. Oh, we got rid of one of the dudes. And then... Ugh. What could we use? We could get rid of these things. There we go. Good. So corpse is out of the way. And then finally, should we just do one of those range attacks from the Vestal? Let's do the range attack from the Vestal. Critical once more! Zeus is on it today! He drank his coffee. Oh, we got loads of nice loot. This is the thing, look, so we actually got a reward for this. Now, even though one of the team have actually gained a lot of stress, it's something that we can work with potentially. We can either put her into the brothel later on, which is the thing that she likes to relieve stress, or we can keep her, we could actually risk it and think, oh, she'll be fine. She might be able to survive or something. What's this here? This is a common survival guide, which will allow even more scouting chance, but also, ooh, plus 10% on trap disarm. So remember that she actually has an ability that allows her to have scouting chance anyway, so it might be a good idea to give her that. What does this do? That's 5 accuracy on melee attacks, which means we should probably give that to... We should probably just keep it. Should we just keep it? Because I think everyone's kind of like... I mean, we could give it to this guy. There you go. You got your little... What did he have originally? He had like an... it was a accuracy mod, and then he had something else, right? But anyway, we'll take that with us. We'll give that to somebody else. And we've completed this. Remember, you got the chest, so open the chest. Sometimes it can work against you, so even though you can move onwards into these areas and think, oh, there might be a loot chest in here, and then you find the loot chest and you think, oh, I'm going to get a reward for it, it might think, oh, I'm going to screw you over, actually, and you might actually have a trap inside it. So sometimes it won't actually work in our favor. But we won, so we got out for jab dodge. And we're going to get all our treasures now. We're going to get so much loot for that, which is really cool. You want at least over about 2,000 loot. Come on, give us 2,000 loot. There you go. Oh, nearly 3,000. That would have been good. The heirlooms actually are used to upgrade your facilities. So that's one thing to find too. When you get into those loot chests and you find like the statue heads and so, you might think, oh, well, that's just crap. But actually, it's useful because it actually can fix and upgrade certain kind of like buildings to give them better effects later on. Now, this is another interesting thing. So, with victory comes, obviously, status effects and stuff. So they've all gained some form of quirk. So if I go to Return to Town, you can actually open all of them. And now some of the team have actually gained bad quirks and some of the team have gained good quirks. So the Reynold Crusaders actually gained a 20 plus scouting chance. So really that thing that we gave Peculiar would actually have benefited him more now, which is, you know, it's one of those interesting things about it. So that actual item will benefit the Crusader later on, which is really cool. The Pekiri character, the Hellion, has now believing in demonia, which means that basically she believes that she's possessed by demons. I don't know how that works against her in the future. Maybe when we come across demon enemies, it will screw her over, potentially. Pooson, who did really well, actually has got a bad quirk as well. It's this thing where things can work against you. He's actually going to experience religious visions and delusions. So he's basically going to go really kooky. And finally, Thicket has now gained 4 speed on the first round of a fight, which is useful. So that means that she'll actually work better in the future. Let's return to the Hamlet and see how things are going.
I was lord of this
So yeah,
place
these are negative quirks.
before the crows and rats made it their domain.
So with that being said, negative quirks can be got rid of, which is quite useful. So what you can do is you can actually go to the sanitarium. It's not going to let us go in there because you have to play more quests. But by playing the game, actually unlocking the sanitarium, you can actually put your character in there and get rid of negative and positive quirks. It might be a quirk that you find that isn't actually useful for your team, because you might think to yourself, oh, why would you want to get rid of positive quirks? Remember that you can only have a limited amount of abilities and quirks. So what you want to do is you want to get rid of the quirks that don't actually work well with your character, and potentially you might get a good roll of the dice and gain a better quirk in the future. But it's been me, Josh aka Noir Proxy, bringing you some of the darkest dungeon on the PlayStation 4. This game literally just came out, but I hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Let me know in the comments below what you thought to it, and thank you so much for all the continuous support. Remember to like this video if you enjoyed it, let me know in the comments below what you thought to the game, and if you'd like to see more of these videos in the future, then subscribe, and I will be constantly updating the subscription box daily. But, as mentioned, ciao for now.